In this assignment, we're identifying the elements of a plot diagram. And you can think of a plot diagram a lot like a mountain. And if you haven't seen this particular plot diagram, I'm sure you've seen them before. It's when the mountain climbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The 1 is the exposition. 2 is the rising action. 3 is the summit. It's the climax. It's where everything changes. 4 is the falling action. And then 5 is the resolution, the end of the story. So what plot is, it's the organized pattern or sequence of events that make up a story. And every plot is made up of a series of incidents that are related to one another. You can't have a story without a plot. There's got to be a problem. There has to be something that is the issue or that needs to be resolved. Without a problem, you don't have a story. So number 1 is the exposition, and this is the place in the beginning of the story where the characters are introduced, the setting is introduced, and most importantly, it's where the main problem or the conflict's also introduced. The rising action, this is the place that begins to get interesting. The conflict's developing and you're starting to build interest and suspense. This is kind of the nail-biting part of a story where you're thinking to yourself, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And then finally, you get to the climax of the story. This is the turning point. Everything changes after this point in a short story. Usually the main character comes to face with a conflict, and the main character will change in some way. And after that, it's all falling action. All of the loose ends of the plot are tied up. This is where you figure out where things kind of end up. The climax and the conflict are taken care of. And finally, the resolution is at the very end, and it comes to a reasonable ending. What's the ending? So putting it all together, exposition and rising action are the beginning of the story. This is where the setting, character, mood starts being developed. Rising action is where the action starts, the nail-biting part of it. It's what's going to happen next, what's going to be happening next. You're also introduced to the main problem. In the middle of the story is usually where the climax is. And this is the point of no return. This is where everything in the story changes. And finally, at the end, this is the falling action. This is where everything gets tied up, and the resolution is the very end of the story. So this is the basic outline of a traditional story.